Spulture show in the morning, another episode. Come on, people. It's a special episode. Every episode is special now. I'm getting to talk to these guests that are taking the time to talk to me. To me, it's special no matter who we got on here. And this one, as I said, they're all special to me, is a special one. We got Paco Bendana taking the time to talk to us today. Paco Bendana is an absolute Newks legend, someone that I grew up with at Newks, someone that played Davis Cup for his country, someone that played Division I tennis, won a conference championship, went to the NCAA tournament twice. Had a lot of experiences on the tennis court. He's worked at the Carlos Alcaraz Tennis Academy. He's just done a lot. He has his family has his own coffee industry, his own coffee farm, his own coffee plant. Something that we get into also. And yeah, it's just really cool of these people to take time out of their day, out of their busy schedules to talk to the Spulture show. It's getting bigger, I guess. And as always, we got our sponsors. Every episode sponsored by Naptown's Notorious. Maybe some merch on the way. Reach out if you'd want some. Let me know what we're working with before the orders get placed. Had it once upon a time. It's time to bring it back. So Naptown's Notorious, telling Indiana athletes stories, sponsors every podcast. And also, we got another special sponsor today, Rally House. Man, you can find anything at Rally House. You can find Cubs gear, Pacers gear, Colts gear, Fever gear, Indians gear, Purdue gear, IU gear, Butler gear, Indiana State gear. Do you need me to keep going on? Do you need me to continue? Cincinnati Reds gear. I don't know if there's any Pittsburgh Pirates gear, though, Rally House. We might have some beef. You can get this sick pennant here, though, this retro Colts old school pennant we're adding to the studio thanks to Rally House. Use code Steven Spulture Rally House 2026. Speaking of 2026, it's 2/26/2026 today. Special day for everyone. It's not Mr. Moyer's favorite day of 2/2. All right, I'm rambling. It's been a bad intro. I hope everyone has stayed on by now because we got a sick interview coming up. We got Paco Bendana, Newks legend. Let's get to it. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking. Everybody, we got Paco Bendana here. He's a former Nukie. That's how I know him. And played at Incarnate Word. Has played on the Davis Cup for Nicaragua. And he's coaching for Incarnate Word now. And you do some coaching for Alcaraz Academy, right? Like, you travel with them? All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit more later. But let's start from the beginning, man, and go through it. Let me just all right, cool. Like my first question, I guess, is like growing up in Nicaragua, what was it like? And what was your tennis training like there?
Well, it was rough, There's not a huge tennis culture down there. I think whenever I started playing tennis, it was a sort of like a boom over there, so it was just popular. I remember going into my first tournament and losing 6-0, 6-0 all the way to the backdrop. So I was just mad. And then I just asked my dad to put me in some tennis lessons, started getting into the competition stuff, and started making it to the cut of the international tournaments, which was the Central American tournaments. They're sort of like a circuit, and you would take the top four out of every category. And by year two, I think I was 8 years old. I was already making it to the under 10s and got a couple of good wins, started doing better. I think by my third tournament, made it to the finals. And then, started playing good, started winning a lot of those tournaments, started winning a lot of Central American stuff. And then I wanted to push it a little bit more. So that's how I went to Newks. That's how I found out about Newks. I had a good friend that went to Newks before from Nicaragua. I think he went to like summer camp or something like that. And he was pretty satisfied, pretty impressed with the level. And then I just took the leap of faith and I just went to Newks,
So growing up in Nicaragua, there weren't like many older players to like look up to really. Like there were like because you said it was like kind of a boom when it happened, and so there weren't like a bunch of like players that like had a blueprint, like a path to like follow. Would you say? Or
I think there was one or two maybe,
yeah,
but I didn't even know them, at the moment. So of course, once you start getting into the sport and into the lifestyle, you start seeing who's doing good, who's doing decent. And I got to meet some good Nicaraguan players. None of them play Davis Cup. We didn't have a Davis Cup team at the time. So, it was just their own
Yeah.
stuff. They were doing their traveling, they were just doing their tournaments. Some were, I think one of them made it to college to play in Tulane. The other one was playing in Bryant. And that's pretty much it for the Division I tennis
Yeah.
career in Nicaragua, man.
So then to like take it to another level, that's when you decided to go to Newks.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much on your own. There's tournaments, of course, but usually between age groups, it's pretty small. You're usually seeing 8 players per tournament, so you're getting like 2 groups of 4. You do a round robin, and then you play it out. Um, by age 13, I was playing under 23 because I just needed the match play. I needed the tournaments. And I was winning pretty comfortably. I think I had 1 or 2 guys that were competition in my age group, but I was winning 95% of the time. So I was trying to get more, and I think by age 14, 15, I was number 1 in Nicaragua. I was winning the Open
Yeah. Out of everyone.
out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think once we started getting into that, we were like, all right, we're going to need to try to bump it up, maybe try to go somewhere where there's competitive tennis. Texas was, of course, really good. I remember whenever I went to Newks, I was very mid-table. Everybody in Newks was so good, and I was just so impressed with the level.
No, that's not true, dude. Your forehand was so sick back then.
The
I'm
forehand
sure it
was
still
there.
is, but like I
The
just remember
forehand
like
was
so like
always
loose and
there.
natural.
The forehand was always there, but the level of competitiveness, it was something new for me. You had everybody. I can name drop so many people, but you were just one of those guys. Whenever you were just competitive, it was something else. You could be messing around, doing mini tennis, but whenever it was on, I mean, you could destroy people. You could go Henry Gordon. Henry Gordon would just stare you down whenever you're eating. He's trying to eat more than you, eat faster than you. He's trying to go to bed earlier than you. The level of competition was the step that I was looking for because I knew in terms of tennis, I was doing some things right, but the level of competitiveness at Newks was definitely what made me the player that I was trying to be. So
Yeah, I still remember Gordon like playing Jake Hendry too, like going 6 in the third, like so late at night. Like, dude, like just go to dinner already.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
crazy. They wanted to win so bad, and that's what I was there for. That's what I was looking for, just that daily competitiveness. Of course, it was tiring. At one point, I was like, I just want to go home.
right.
But that's what I signed up for, the competition. And that was exactly what I got from it. So that was pretty
And looking back, I feel like that's how you get better is like putting in that work. Like Phil used to say, like the street fighters of the tennis world and stuff, and like all those morning fitnesses that you didn't want to do, but then when you stack them up, like you see the improvement.
yeah. I remember, I mean, my first year, whenever I got there, I wasn't, how we did a lot of match play. I wasn't really winning the matches, but I felt like I could win those matches. But I was just so overwhelmed over the daily routine, the going to school to a, like from a private school to a 660 people per class or like, per year. That was just so overwhelming for me. And I was like, I was out in the jungle, I was out in the jungle by myself. I remember crying a lot because I was like, I didn't know what to do a lot of the times of like, should I just skip practice tomorrow? Like my legs are just done. And
Yeah.
then I would try to skip practice and I would just hear Phil coming, knocking on the door, be like, hey, Paco, go to the sandpit, man. You didn't wake up. I'm like, I did wake up. I just couldn't move. So that was something that really developed some callous in my mind, and it was just the experience that I was looking for to get to the next level. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. And so you kind of just touched on it, but how different was like the lifestyle and just like living? Like you mentioned the school and stuff, but how about just like the daily routine and everything, like you just touched on?
Well, the daily routine was for sure more tennis. Like I said, you had
Like
guys.
how much were you playing in Nicaragua like the year before or something? Like every
So
day or
I was playing every day. I
yeah.
think whenever I get to freshman year in high school, I start doing online. So I start doing 2 a days. I start doing morning practice, but it was such a grind, because there is no sports life in Nicaragua. Everything is just it's a
On
small
your own.
country. Yeah, it's on your own.
Yeah.
So nobody's gonna hold you accountable. It's got to be you calling your coach like, hey, dude, I'm 30 minutes, from our practice. Are you on the way? Or you're trying to make it happen on your own. And then you move to Nukes, and everything is there. You wake up, you open the door, and the first thing you see is a tennis court. And you have 30 other guys that are also trying to get where you're trying to get. So that alone, it's a complete different ballgame. Whenever I'm in Nicaragua, I go home. I have the fortune, of having my parents there. and they had meals ready for me whenever I came from practice. Whenever you go to Newks, you're so tired, you're just like laying on the floor because you don't want to get your bed wet because you don't want to change your sheets for another week or so. So it's just like, everything in Nicaragua was a little smoother. You had way more like dependency on other people. Once you're at Nukes, you're by yourself. If you really want to make it, I think that's the filter. Whenever you really want to make it and you're out on your own, you decide to make it. Some guys don't have that discipline of making it on themselves. So I think that was the main difference. I was just on my own. The training
Right.
was well.
Yeah, and just the little things too, like lunch is like lunch and dinner all the way down there. Like it might be cold, it might be raining. Like the last thing you want to do is go walk all the way to the lodge and then
But then
yeah,
I would look out the window and I see everybody going to dinner. I'm like, I can't skip a meal, I have to go get dinner.
right.
So it's like surfing, you got to just catch the wave and make sure you don't fall off, and if you fall off, you got to get the next one, so it's a different ballgame. It's a different lifestyle. It's so much more committed to the sport, I think.
Yeah. And so you then ended up at Incarnate Word. How was that recruiting process and how'd that go for you?
Well, PJ was a very big part of it. PJ was always pushing us to do the college recruiting stuff. Had a couple offers, had some interesting, talks. I remember being in Houston one time playing a tournament, made it to the finals of a tournament out there. I get destroyed by Aaron Pierce. Aaron Pierce was a baller, man. Just hit like 30 aces on me, and I think he destroyed me like 2-2. And then the coach from Rice walked in, to the court, and I'm like, what's going on? Like I see the Rice shirt, and he's like, I know you're a senior, trying to see if you're committed. So that was one offer. I'm like, I just got my butt whooped, like, are you sure
Yeah.
you're the right guy? And he's
Right.
like, yeah, you seem like a good player, so we should talk. And I'm like, all right, let's talk. And then the next week, I play a tournament in San Antonio. I think we just played like a men's doubles open. And I remember seeing two guys. I didn't know much about the roster or anything, but
Is
I
this
ended
your
up
junior year or senior year?
this was my senior year already,
Okay.
senior year, and I ended up playing. I think they're line three or they're line two, and the head coach of UIW. And then we played. We just got, it was a messy match, like, so I guess the guy saw some character in me or something. But also got my contact, and then those were the two main schools that I visited. And then, of course, getting into Rice is a little harder with the grades. Well, I ended up going to Incarnate Word, and everything worked out pretty well. It was a great experience. I did my 4 years there, became the captain of the team my sophomore year, which was pretty important for me. I was, at the front, and then my junior year, we ended up winning conference for the first time. We were the first sport to win a Division I title. Incarnate Word came from being a D2 school. So I think the class where I signed is 2015. They're the first year where they're eligible competing D1.
Nice.
So
That's what I was about to ask was about winning conference. That's pretty sick. That did you get a ring and everything for it?
we got a ring. I got it right here. I got it
Yeah.
right here.
That was
And it's a memorable one. It was a year where we came out of nowhere because the year before we just didn't win a match. We couldn't win a match in conference. Everything was close. It was like 4-3, 5-2 on every match. But then the last year we switched coaches, and the coaches were just different ways of approaching a team. It was just completely different. So us in the locker, we had our co-captain, my co-captain Joey Latinadillo, a guy from San Antonio, great guy. He was my doubles partner as well. He was a senior at the moment. And me and him kind of just talked things through, and we were like, in the end, we're complaining about the different methods of the coaching, and we just said, hey, nobody's going to hold the racket for you. It's got to be you that wins the match. So we all came together. We all just started, talking to each other about what makes us feel comfortable inside the court. We found a good common ground and something to fight for it all together. And it came along. We went undefeated that year. We won 5-0, and we were the first team or the first sport in the school to win a Division I title. So that was pretty darn cool story, to be honest.
yeah, that's unreal. Do you feel like too that like the independency of like being at Nukes and having to do it all on your own kind of like helped you in that moment almost? Like we have to do this?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because I went from being like, so in college you get babied a little bit. You get a lot of more commodities. You get you get strings taken care of, you get rackets, you get equipment, you get commodities, and then you just got to play. At that point, you just got to play. You have great guys around you that are, fighting for the spot in the lineup. But at the end, you're also trying to win together. So it's like an internal competition that you're trying to do for the best. Sometimes it got out of hand. Of course, we were just, talking shit to each other the whole practice. We ended up pushing each other, but we knew that we were just at the end. The practice was over. Once we walked out the gates, we were just chill. It was like a strong competition of like making each other better, I guess. And then Newks came into my mind, and I'm like, dude, no. For the past 4 years, nobody's told me what to do. Like now, I'm expecting the coach to tell me what to do to win the match. That was where I noticed the mistake. I was like, I can't have a guy make a decision for me, let alone make a decision for 6 other guys. So that's where Joey and I were like, dude, it's got to be up to us. We have the talent 1 through 6. I think we were in our conference, we were pretty strong 1 through 6, which is huge. It's very important. In our schools, you don't have sometimes a full lineup where you're like super strong. But we just came together. We made a plan. We talked to each other like adults for the first time, and we just got it done. It was good. Everything, the chemistry of the team went through the roof, and we just got it done. We just won.
Did you guys ever, like, my experience with college tennis was we lost a lot, and so after a while you kind of just got used to the losing, and it was almost just like another match. Like there wasn't like really like fuck, we lost, like this like hurts, and like we're holding it all night. It was kind of just like, it's another day, like we'll be back here tomorrow either way. Did you ever like go through that early, and then kind of, because you said there was a coaching change, I don't know if you ever like dealt with any of that?
I mean, the tough part of Texas has great schools. If you really go deep into Texas, like you're gonna find only good schools. Right. So we were used to losing. I mean, we're playing UT, we're getting destroyed by UT. We have A&M, you have Texas Tech, you have great schools all around. Baylor, for example. It's hard to beat those guys. So you kind of know that whenever the time comes to play conference, you gotta just perform there. Like it's hard for us. Yeah, maybe one guy out of the 6 got a match out of a guy from A&M, and that was a thing we would celebrate. Even if we lost 6-1, we were all going in the van and telling him, "Hey, dude, you killed it today."
Yeah, we got a match.
We got a match. You, dude, so congrats. So that was a fun part of playing those big schools. I mean, you got crazy names, but then it goes to conference, and conference is all about just it's evened out. That if you just have a bad day, you're losing the match. If you have a good day, you're going to win the match most likely. And the year before, we had a lot of 4-3 matches. We had a lot of 5-2 matches that went 3 sets. So we all knew that it was a matter of getting that deuce point. That deuce point, it literally goes down to 1 or 2 deuce points, and that's the whole match if you really have a competitive team on both sides. So we fought for that deuce point. We really, in practice, we were talking smack to each other and putting pressure on each other for the good outcome of it. Of like, hey, whenever the match comes, that the other team is going to be in your face. That the school's going to be, being rowdy and trying to, hit the fans in your face, because we were in the trenches. In those schools, you don't really have the nice stadiums. You don't really have the bleachers and the stands. You have the fence, and then it's the team in front of you. So right. We were prepared. We were prepared to go to war. I remember it like it was yesterday. There was one guy literally arguing with the other guy on the next court, and I'm trying to hype him up. I'm like, dude, go for it, but just don't lose your mind. You gotta come back, even if you're angry and if you're fighting. It's part of college tennis, and I think we found out, what we were trying to do, what was going to happen, and we were prepared for it, and it worked out.
Yeah, almost like putting more of an emphasis on the little things too, huh? Like getting the doubles point, getting the deuce points, like the details, like getting those down.
I think whenever we went to conference, I think we had the best doubles team. So I think if I'm not wrong, maybe one match that's sleeping my mind, but we won the doubles every single time in conference. So that gave us a huge advantage.
Yeah, it lets you play a little more freer going into singles.
And I think we had 2 guys that won everything, and they were just feeling it. So they were comfortable enough telling us like, hey guys, I know I can beat that guy tomorrow. So if we get the doubles point, that's 2-0.
Yeah.
And then you have the guy the next morning and you just see him, he's gonna win. You just kind of see that aura around him, and he's like, dude, I got him. Like I know I'm gonna win.
Yeah, you
So
just keep
we're up
building on it.
1-0. Yeah, so you just keep building on it, and then you're just like, it's 2-0 already. Mentally, you're playing with a score in your favor, and then somebody gets a set, and then you're like, all right, we're like almost 3-0. So it just happened. It was like a domino effect of confidence, and you could see it in the matches. We were just super tough to beat, and then I think we ended up losing to go to the NCAA tournament. I think we lost first round. We lost to Lamar, but again, it was a super tight match. I think they flipped the lineup. I think I ended up losing that match to a guy that Sebastian Santibanez from Chile. The guy was a ball machine. He was just running side to side, super fit guy, making 20 ball rallies every single time, every point. And that was just my kryptonite back then. So he just took the match, and that flipped the score to their side. And we didn't make it to the NCAA tournament, but we got conference, we got the ring. And I think up to today, still, I think Incarnate Word hasn't made it to the NCAA tournament, but that's definitely some goals that they're trying to work for.
Yeah, Andrew won conference. I mean, that's like your goal every year. I feel like, at least, I mean, the year I played, it was like, all right, let's win conference, and then after that, we kind of see and we go from there. But like, let's try and win conference.
Conference was the target always.
Yeah.
All those Baylor matches, the UT matches, are just to test the water, see how you're doing. If you're really slacking in the court, if you're really like right there, if you're battling those guys. I mean, in my time, it was Arthur Rindick match. It was Jordi Arconada. Those guys. If you could just hang with them for an hour,
it was a good day.
You knew you were in the right track to play conference good.
Right.
That's a different ballgame for sure. Whenever you're playing those big schools, but
yeah,
in our league, we found a way to do it. So.
Yeah, you mentioned Pierce earlier, which I love. I still talk to him a decent amount. He's gonna love that you said that. Who else was on that team? Were there any other Texas guys that were on that team that you played with, or?
So
you said Joey also, but
you're in college or in?
Yeah, college.
So in college, definitely. I mean, we had Henry Adams was in ACU. Guy was tough to beat as well.
No, but at Incarnate Word, like on your team.
Oh, at Incarnate Word, we have. I mean, most of our guys were out of state. They were even international. So
yeah.
We have Gabe Evans. Gabe Evans used to now play Davis Cup for Puerto Rico. He joined our team from Laredo Community College, I think. We had a German guy, Sebastian. He was pretty good. The guy was going tight matches with Will Little at Baylor. Yeah, so we know we could trust that guy all the time because he was playing good matches with every single player. And then, we had Nadim from Bosnia, the guys that are, flying under the radar, but are internationally pretty good. They're good in their countries.
Right.
We have Caleb Dyer, British guy.
That's like what I just saw at this D2 tournament. There was so many good players, but in their country, but for whatever reason. But so then you end up playing Davis Cup. How'd that come about, and how was that experience?
So Davis Cup was always a dream of mine. That was always my personal goal for tennis. Being pro was never really something that I really wanted to do. I knew the grind of going into the tour. Of course, I would have loved to, but I just didn't really know how to do that. Especially coming from Nicaragua, I don't think there was many guys that were aiming to do that. I think now we have a kid that's playing for Wake Forest.
Okay.
He's the one guy that's being new to this. I think he's got a couple ATP points already, but for me, Davis Cup was the thing. Davis Cup was the goal. But the country never made a Davis Cup team. They never made like a Davis Cup board.
Right.
So,
you said they didn't have one when you grew up.
We didn't have one growing up. So then 2022 comes around and some rumors start going around like, hey, we're going to get a Davis Cup team. We're going to get a Davis Cup team. I was already done with tennis by then. I graduated college 2019. 2022 comes around. I am 20, 30 pounds overweight, more than what I carry around. And the rumors start going around, and I started getting in shape. And one day they just send a picture, and they're like, "Hey, we just signed up for Davis Cup, so we're gonna have to make a quali. We're gonna have to talk to some guys. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, count me in."
Right.
I already lost 15 pounds out of those 30. So I'm like, give me 3 more months, and I'll be there. But it was definitely hard because now that I was working, I was in the corporate life, and I was just kind of out of tennis, barely coaching. maybe once a week. But then that comes back, and I was coming back from an injury as well. I had broken one finger in my left hand. So I was recovering from that. But whenever Davis Cup comes around, we formed a team of 4. It was 3 juniors and me.
Yeah.
One of the juniors, he's really good. He's the one playing at Wake Forest. His name is Joaquin Guilleme. The guy's an absolute stud. That guy's playing out of his mind. And ever since he was a little kid, you could tell he was different. He was from a different cloth. But the kid goes undefeated in Davis Cup. He goes 5-0.
No way. The first year.
First year, he was like, he's really, really darn good.
That's sick.
And then I was battling in the matches. I ended up losing one singles match, but it was like a 3-hour match, which I was definitely not ready for. And I mean, we ended up losing in the group. We stayed there. We didn't make it to the playoff match, but it was a good first experience. But
it's the experience of a lifetime too.
It was crazy. Yeah. It was. I remember crying whenever I got the jerseys and everything. It would say Nicarague in the back. That's really a kid's dream, that. And I felt super proud. My dad came with me. First time we traveled together and way over before Newks. Whenever it was Newks was 2014. The Davis Cup is 2022, and my dad decides to come around, and that was a super emotional day. Whenever we got our first win, it was nice. And then year 2 came, and the goals start changing. You start really getting a hang of the competition, and you start making that one match count. And we've been stuck in the playoff match for 3 years now. We can't really make it out of Group 4, but we're there. We're super, super close. The team is getting better. The team is getting stronger. I'm getting a little more experience, I guess, a little bit older.
Are you still playing?
I'm still playing. This past year we didn't play, but I'm staying in shape. I'm just waiting for the call again.
Nice.
We had problems. We had problems with all the federation. All the sports federation had to be redone in Nicaragua, and the tennis federation is still up in the air. It still hasn't been consolidated, but we didn't play last year. I don't know if we're going to play this year, but I hope that for next year we're in it to win it again. Because I know our kids, the kids that went with me in 2022, they have 4 years older now. I know they can definitely carry me this time instead of me having to carry them. These guys are starting to get good. I think Joaquin is a sophomore in college. I think Alfredo is a sophomore as well in college. So they're in the picture already. They know my brother just graduated college. He was my doubles partner. So, we have a very competitive team instead of having 2 guys that are playing singles. You have 4 guys that can play singles now. So, for me, the main dilemma was the last day, the playoff match. I had blisters all over my toes. I was cramping in the first set. I was just super sunburned, like my skin is peeling off, and you need that 1 day of break. You kind of need it. And I know that if we get those 4 guys ready, I think we can definitely go up to Group 3 and maybe even win a couple matches in Group 3. So that could be good.
Yeah, because I remember when you were playing, and I remember following it, and maybe even like watching some live stream or something. But you were just saying that last day you were just dead, and like you said, you were coming from you hadn't played for a couple of years. You got back in shape for it, and it's pretty sick. Especially Go ahead, sorry.
I think boxers fight once a year, twice a year. That's how I'm treating it. I'm saving my energy, saving my body, doing treatment, getting ready for that 1 week, because I know that week just drains everything out of me, especially playing in Trinidad and Tobago. Right. That it's an island, it's super hot, it's very humid. So the conditions are also going to take a toll on you, whether you like it or not. It rains a lot. We go indoors, and indoors there's no ventilation. So it's super hot. So you're just drenched in sweat all the time. And I think I lost like 7 pounds in one match just by sweating. I remember weighing it. So it's just, the conditions are, you got to be ready for it. And especially, the guy across the net is going to try to, pick your brain, or he's just going to go down in the mud with you. So it's tough. You got to be prepared.
It goes back to what Phil said, being the street fighter of the tennis world, literally. So now you are doing some stuff with the Alcaraz Academy. Kind of expand on that. What exactly are you doing? I see you traveling to some different places and doing some camps and stuff.
Yeah, well, definitely their main academy is in Murcia in Spain, and they started doing some camps out here in the States. We're doing 1 week camps. We did one in Long Beach, one in San Diego. We did 2 in Acapulco, and we're headed to Miami the third week of March. I think it's the last week of the Miami Open. We're going to be out there in Miami. It's a pretty fun week. We get a lot of different kids. You get all these coaches coming from Spain, and they bring their plan. They bring their work schedule and they try to implement it here. So it's like you're having like a preview of what they do over at the academy, and they're pretty good. It's been very, very fun to learn from them. To be honest, I've always had a different, maybe more American way of seeing tennis. These guys are about working with cone drills, and like sprints and this, and it's super like kind of looks like a soccer thing going on, and you have 4-year-old kids that are just sprinting around the cones, so they're different, with the way they do it. But I mean, you can't really tell them much, right? They got the best player in the world right now, so they're definitely doing something right out there. So
Right. Do they do a ton of hand feeding? I always heard like Spanish guys did a ton of hand feeding.
yeah, especially at the beginner levels, we always do the hand feeding stuff. Once we see that the kids are solid enough with their ground strokes and everything, you kind of go and move on to the live ball.
More live ball. Yeah.
Hand feeds maybe just for warm up. We are always doing hand feed. It's super weird. So, but it works. It works. There's less variables for the kids. They have to worry about tracking the ball. You kind of just place the ball out there for them, and they can get a good contact out of it. And they start getting it, and it clicks. It's cool to see when the little kids have it click in their mind, and they're like, "Oh, that felt good. I know what I did there." So that's something I've learned from them. Kind of like develop that little kid a little bit more through the steady play and those techniques that they do, and they're really good.
And it's probably cool for you too to not just learn from these people, but go to different places for a week at a time and work with a bunch of different players of different levels. And are there adults too, or is it all juniors? Or
yeah, we do have adults. We have the in the mornings. It's usually the kids. You have 2 groups of kids, which makes it you have 4 kids per court, right? And they do, let's say, 2 rounds. So you're working with 8 kids in the morning, and then you have a group of 4 adults in the afternoon. So it's a different dynamic in the adults. You're not really teaching them stuff. They know, or at least you're not teaching them how to move their body. They know how to move their body. If you do see a technical issue, trying to give them a correction or two. But with the adults, it's a lot more easy going.
Right. Yeah. Keep the energy up, keep them moving, and keep it fun.
And they love it.
Yeah.
I've met some great people in the adults part, because it's more of an interaction. They're more friendly. You're not babysitting, kind of.
Right.
They know how to do their stuff. And it's super cool to see adults also learn a thing or two from you. Because I was never really coaching adults until now. This was my first experience coaching adults. I was always, thinking about the kids and developing kids to go to college and try to make them play tournaments. That was kind of like my idea of coaching. And now with the Alcaraz Academy, I'm coaching adults, which is it's a good challenge. It's different. I like it, but it's just different. It's different for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun and it develops those relationships, like you said. And you're also coaching Incarnate Word too, right? Are you their assistant coach or?
I was, not
okay.
anymore.
Yeah.
So with Incarnate Word, we don't have a full-time assistant coach. We have a graduate assistant coach. So whenever I was done with my master's, I was pretty much done, because I had graduated already. But I did stay a little bit as like a volunteer coach whenever they had home matches. I was going to their home matches, being in court with the guys, because it was basically the same team that I left there.
Right.
So I already knew how they played. I already had chemistry with the players. But that all stopped in May of last year. So coming from.
And your brother was on the team at the time too, right?
My brother was in the team as well. So that was a fun experience as well, having him there. He could definitely tell you a different story, but I really had fun with it. It was cool seeing him again. I think he got to a great level as well, a level that I don't think he could think of. He could get there, but he also, did really good. I think he did pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't want to finish this without mentioning too. I got the coffee bags right here. The El Quetzal, is that how you say it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's
I got the Java here, the medium roast Java. It's unreal. It's fire. We got like about 6-7 minutes left on this stream. Give me a few just tell me about the coffee business and endeavor and everything.
So my great grandfather was the one that started the farm, so I'm basically the 4th generation of coffee farmers in Nicaragua. We have currently 2 farms down there. We're working one of them from zero, so we're trying to make it into different coffees, different altitudes, and then we have El Quetzal, is the one you have in your hands. That farm has been our family treasure for years now. We have great coffees down there. We have great altitudes, which helps the coffee grow better. We're known in the community out there. We're trying to help everybody's way of living up in the mountains. So that's a nice little hidden gem that maybe you get the chance to come over to Nicaragua and check it out. I'd love to take you out there.
That'd be sweet.
It's just the mountains, and we have acres of coffee there. And it's a quiet world. Definitely not something that you'd really see every day. The way the people live up there, the way the people just do stuff up in the mountains, away from this whole jungle of the society. They're not really worried about Instagram and how much your racket is, or if it's the latest. It's a different lifestyle that I definitely grew up with, and it gave me a perspective of life as well. And now I'm lucky enough to be working with that. That's what I do on my daily basis, is doing the coffee stuff. And we're trying to grow it into a good recognized brand. Hopefully trying to bring it over here to the States a little bit more. But we do, we export a lot to Japan. We export a lot to Spain now and Italy. So hopefully the U.S. market is next.
Yeah, it's probably a nice way of life too. I mean, it's probably like priorities are probably maybe a little better, and like how you're spending your time versus like you said, worrying about how many likes you're getting or how much a racket is or something.
Yeah, I'm just checking plants out, make sure they're getting watered and they're getting their soil and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And where are you? Are you in Nicaragua or are you in San Antonio?
Right now, I am in LA.
Oh, you're in LA.
Yeah, I'm in LA. My soon-to-be wife, she's a pretty badass synchronized swimmer. I can't leave the stream without saying how great she is.
Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. She's in Colombia for a competition. They did silver and gold in that competition. Everything is in preparation for the Olympics of 2028. So we'll see how that develops.
And who's she swimming for? Colombia or U.S. or?
No, she's from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, nice.
But she swims for the Team USA.
Yeah. That's sweet, man. That's awesome. That's pretty cool, especially with the Olympics going on and stuff right now. Have you been watching any?
No, I know. Yeah, I am, and it's cool to because they know some of them. They definitely do the winter ones, but they know some of those athletes, and it's a very small circle. Kind of like tennis. Whenever you see it, all of those athletes know each other, and it's crazy to see how much they support each other. And I don't know, out here in LA, the lifestyle as well with the sports is pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, Paco, man, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. You're awesome, dude. You've always been cool to me since you were 15 or however old you were when you got the Newks, man. You were a good guy to look up to as a person and as a player. So even like when I was in New Braunfels last, me, Jake, and PJ went to the Spurs game. You're like, dude, you should have let me know. I would have gone. Like, so
I was a couple blocks away. So
yeah. That's what I mean. But like, still to this day, dude, you're awesome. You're cool to me, and I appreciate it, man. So thank you.
Make sure you're getting that coffee well. I'm gonna send you some more. So
all right, I gotta keep drinking it. I gotta keep going through it.
It's all in the preparation, so you gotta make sure it's right.
I'll come down and do a live show from the what is it? Is it a plant or a farm or what do you call it?
It's a farm. We have a
coffee farm.
We have the mills where everything gets prepared and washed and everything and bagged. So it's a pretty sweet process. You gotta come check it out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Play some tennis out there too.
Yeah. On some clay courts, probably run some mini tennis back like old times.
Hard court in Nicaragua, surprisingly.
They have hard courts? Like more hard courts than clay courts? Only hard courts.
Only hard courts.
Really?
No clay for me.
Wow, that shocks me. Actually, I would have assumed it was a ton of clay.
It's all hard court. It's hard to maintain a clay court down in Nicarague. So.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Hard court it is.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, thanks again, dude. We'll catch up and. Good talking to you, Paco.
See you, bro.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Introducing Flip Jr., aka PJ, aka Lil South Slinger, aka Lil the Great. Shit out, 45 reasons I'm gonna fuck up St. Lou. Here we go. I'm planning plus. They call me Flip J. They call me Flip J, aka PJ. They call me Flip J. They call me Flip J. They call me Flip J. Flip fucking Junior, and I'm here to stay.